What up? You know what time it is. You know who I got with me too. Today, well, today's the last big one before Brainerd. So I guess what I'll do is share a couple of shorter stories during the tapering period, and then hit y'all up race morning and say what's up before, you know, gun goes off. But anyway, thank you for pressing play and hanging out with your boy for a minute. And I think I've got another little story that's gonna embarrass me, but probably make you chuckle a little bit. And if it does so, that means I've done my job, right? But anyway, here we go. So again, this is way back towards the beginning of my triathlon journey. And this was actually the first time that I met up with who would end up being my training partner and mentor, and the people that I would call the usual suspects, right? But I guess one of the people that I trained with at the time, I guess they mama owned the pool or something around the neighborhood, so we had access to it during the evenings or whatever. But one of the first few communications I had with the dude that would end up being my training partner and mentor, he was like, yo, why don't you meet us over here at this pool at like 7:30 or something. I was like, all right. So drove all the way from Bogalusa, having no idea what I'm getting myself into. Ain't never met none of these people before. But when I pull up, you know, I meet my boy, you know what I'm saying? He introduces me to the usual suspects, right? And he was like, yo, have you ever done this kind of a training session before? I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, okay, I see where you're at now. I was like, oh shit, here we go. So what he had us do, well, the usual suspects, they was already knocking out laps in the pool. And I'm just like, damn, what is all this? And he was like, yo, get over here in this pool, get over here in this lane, because this is the lane with the less experienced swimmers in it. I was like, all right, cool. Man, I jumped in that pool and he was like, I need you to give me a 100. I'm like, okay, how many laps is that? He was like, 4 laps. I was like, all right. So I push off the wall. I get about halfway through one length. That's half a lap. And I blew up. Boom. It was so bad. I mean, I wasn't using it. I didn't even know what the technique was or anything out the gate. So I was already set up to fail, you know. But I didn't know that, you know, my boy, he was just establishing what my baseline was. But here's the funny part. So after he got to see my form, or lack thereof, he pulled me out the lanes, pulled me over to the other side of the pool, and he was like, yo, let's take this real slow and let me see what you got. Just give me just a few strokes halfway at the pool, and then turn around and walk back. I'm like, all right, cool. So I do that. I flail halfway down the pool. I turn around and come back. He was like, all right, look, have you ever swam freestyle before? I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, okay, cool, I see where you at. He was like, look, so here's what we gonna do, man. The first thing that we gonna do is get you to understand what your balance is like and where it should be at. I was like, okay, cool, how are we gonna do that? He was like, yo, look, hold on, I'm gonna slow down for this. He held down his arms like this, right? He was like, I want you to lay across, go ahead and belly down, lay across my hands, lay across my arms. I looked at him, I said, what? Huh? He was like, yeah. He was like, look, man, you gotta know what to, you know, you gotta feel where the water is. You gotta feel where your balance is at so you know where to push and pull, right? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But you in a Speedo, bruh. He was like, man, look, you gotta start somewhere. I was like, damn, you right. So here I am, half naked, a grown-ass man, laying across this other grown-ass man's arms in the pool, and he's wearing a Speedo. And he's over here, oh my God, man. And he's, you know, he's telling me the fundamental steps of a freestyle stroke and where I should be leaning at into the water, where my hips should be at, and all this. And the whole time I'm just thinking to myself, man, do you gotta be wearing a Speedo doing this shit, bruh? So after about 5-10 minutes of that, we take a break because he's got to instruct the other athletes on what the next block of their swim training is going to be. And I look over, and Tiff, Athena, and Iron Katie over there giggling at me, man. I'm like, okay. I said, I tell you what, I'm gonna get through. I'm telling this to myself. I'm like, I'm gonna get through this training block or this training session, and this dude ain't holding me again. Not like that. Ain't gonna happen. But anyway, you know, he got to the next part of the training session. He was like, okay, look, you're gonna give me a couple of laps, but you're not gonna do freestyle, okay? What you're gonna do is what's called the breaststroke, and this is gonna help you establish where you need to push and pull in the water and with what part of the body. I said, cool, you ain't gonna hold me again, is you? He was like, nah, you don't gotta worry about that. I just needed to show you the fundamental steps of the freestyle stroke. I'm like, cool. So after that training session, man, that long drive back to Bogalusa, the only thing I could think to myself was, ain't no way another grown-ass man in a Speedo is gonna hold me in the water like a damn infant. That ain't gonna happen again. And sure enough, it wasn't that next day, but it was that following week. I went up to North Cyprus. I was like, yo, I want a membership right now. They hooked me up with a membership, and I jumped in their pool, and I was swimming in their pool like a madman, twice a day, damn near every day, for months, until it was Ironman time. So I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that you know, you got to start somewhere, and a lot of times you got to get humbled in order to reach where you want to go. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't even realize it's got to be humbled, even if that means you got to be held in the water like an infant by a grown man in a Speedo and getting laughed at by what would be your future teammates and training partners. Hey, I love y'all, man. Y'all gave me a hard time, but y'all really showed me the ropes. And I am so glad, so fortunate, and so lucky to be able to get all those yards and miles in with y'all. But speaking of y'all, this is about to end a long one for me. And I want to thank you again for pressing play and hanging out with your boy. And again, you got to start somewhere, man. Even if that means being embarrassed and humbled a few times. I promise you, if you're working with somebody, they only got your best interest at heart, man. Because they see something in you that you don't even, you know what I'm saying? I probably messed that up because runner brain. But you get the point, I hope. If you don't, hit me up in the comments and I'll explain it better for you. But until next time, deuces.